This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Alrighty. Let's get to our Canes Where Miami Hurricanes report. And don't forget, folks, go visit Brett and all the great people out there. They know how to get it done, Jeff. Just amazing people. And use our code BIGO10. You will get 10% off. And if you order over $99, you'll get free shipping. Also at caneswear.com. You can go see him at 2655 South University Drive in Davie. Alrighty. What'd you think of last night's game? Which, by the way, Sean, I nailed it. I made you guys some money. I told you lay the 1.5 against Notre Dame. Flu or no flu, dude. They're going to win that game. Ugly game, and it was exciting, but it was ugly, and they won it. And that's it. That was an ugly ass pick, bro. That was woo! There was a little Cam Ward like nightmares going through my mind when that pass is going like, whoa, we have a quarterback that does that kind of stuff a lot.
Yeah, Drew Aller was really off last night, and you go back to that first half, how many times he had guys open and just overthrew them or missed them out of the backfield. Quarterbacks don't grow on trees, man. Even 5-star guys coming out of high school, obviously, we've seen a lot of those busts, and I think Drew Aller is probably just another guy who didn't live up to the hype. And man, talk about Penn State and that coach James Franklin, who's now 1-15 in his time at Penn State against top 5 ranked teams. And
bro, his face at the end of that game, I was like, wow, that's that inside he must be dying, bro, because it just looks like, oh my God, like, oh wow, James Franklin was hurting yesterday, bro.
Yeah, really. That fan base in general, man. Like it was so weird. Oh, I'm so used to going to bowl games and places where you see fans fighting and like people talking trash. This was like I was standing there walking around the stadium talking to people. Everybody was nice and courteous, polite. It was like I was like, this doesn't feel like a national semifinal, in terms of like just the anticipation and excitement, because you had all these Midwesterners and people from other parts of the country here, and it was like a pleasant, soft walk-in, and then you get the football game, and it was smash football and just big hits and defense and all that kind of stuff, and it was entertaining. It was a fun night to be at the Hard Rock, and I thought the game lived up to the hype.
Yeah, no, I'm glad for the people at the Hard Rock and the Orange Bowl committee that they got themselves a really good semifinal game. What's it called? Notre Dame had to overcome a bad call, dude, on that interception. That was a terrible call.
Yeah, and that team is just so resilient, man. Like Marcus Freeman, 39 years old today. It's his birthday. You think about that guy and the job that he's done there. Brian Kelly had every resource in the book and couldn't win a national championship. This guy in just 3 years has them back in the national championship game. And I got to tell you, those kids that play for this dude, they 1,000% believe in him, and 1,000% like, I mean, they're playing that game basically with their third string left tackle and like a third string right guard. And we're down 10-0, and their backup quarterback's in the game. He's making plays. I mean, those kids just to me, you talk to them post game. I was in the locker room. I was talking to a bunch of them. Those guys, like, they don't have a super talented team. They just play their ass off.
Right. I'm with you. That's why I told when and I gave it out on the show yesterday, the spread 1.5. I go, I'm laying it on Notre Dame because I think I just didn't, like if I think Ohio State's going to win. That's where the season ends for Notre Dame. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I'm with you.
How I'm going to view it, and I'll ask you about it. But I thought yesterday they were up against the right opponent to muck it up and just kind of, eke out a win, and that's exactly what they went out to do. So
listen, not a single receiver for Penn State caught a pass. Tyler Warren is a tremendous talent. Watching them bringing it back to the Canes for a second, I tweeted this during the game. Elijah Lofton, the freshman that Miami has, to me, he is Tyler Warren, like the same exact type of player who should be in the backfield, who should be catching balls all the time, line him up at quarterback, let him run the ball. To me, I thought, watching yesterday, I was like, man, I really hope Miami uses Tyler Warren. Uses Elijah Lofton like Tyler Warren. But all in all, man, like Notre Dame was just super impressive, and congratulations to them. And Penn State, man, just a program that can't get over the hump. That's a coach who's been there now for 11 years, can never really win the big one.
I'm with you there. All right, so what do you got tonight?
Tonight I'm going with Ohio State. That was when I filled out my bracket for the Athletic. I actually have a perfect bracket right now. When I filled it out prior to the start of the playoffs, I had Ohio State beating Notre Dame in the national championship game, so I'm sticking with it. I think Texas, you've seen sort of the chinks in the armor the last few games for them, especially against Arizona State. Just that defense, as good as it's been most of the year, gave up a lot of yards to Clemson, gave up yards to Arizona State and Cam Scatterbo. I just think Ohio State is the most complete team left in the field, and Notre Dame is so banged up. So I think this will probably be a good game because it's being played at the Cotton Bowl in Texas, and there'll be a Texas type feel to this. But I think ultimately, Ohio State, Jeremiah Smith, going to be too much, and probably win the national title in 10 days.
So you wrote an article in The Athletic. If this season was a success, for me personally, it was not a success.
Right.
You didn't come through in the big moments against the big teams. You did not win the conference. You didn't even get to the conference final. I think, considering you are the first Hurricane coach to ever have all the resources you could possibly ever need to win, and you cannot win a bowl game, and you cannot win anything significant this year, I think this season was an utter failure for Mario Cristobal, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I went the more PC route when I wrote my story. And my 8 thoughts on the season, and I called it a golden opportunity missed. Because that's essentially what it was. The ACC was there for the taking, very much so. You had SMU as one of the 2 teams that made it to the championship game. You beat Syracuse. That's who you play in the ACC championship game. It was on a platter for Miami. You've had 6 quarterbacks since 1984 make it to the Heisman ceremony as a finalist. Cam Ward being the 6th one. He's the only one that didn't win the national championship ring at Miami. So those quarterbacks, when you have them, you have to take advantage of it, and ultimately that's what people are going to be saying about Mario going forward, right? Especially if they don't ever climb past this point where they win an ACC championship and get in the playoff, they're going to say, dude, you blew it. You had the quarterback, you had the number 1 offense in the country, and you couldn't get the job done. So he's got a lot left to prove, Mario does, and this season coming up especially.
Yeah, and I think this season starts to become that season where the people up top, the administration, if you don't turn that corner, I think you start questioning it, because you and I talked about this when they signed him. This is a contract, it's 8 years. So you're not going to be thinking about getting out of this contract till you're in like year 5 or 6. So next year becomes a very important year for Mario, because in a way, if you disappoint, it's what I told everybody last year about the Dolphins. I said, what did I say, Sean? I said next year, this year here, will become the hot seat year for Mike McDaniel. Well, guess what happened this year? This year became what? The hot seat year. Here we go. Next year, Mike McDaniel's on the hot seat. And for me, I think next year starts to become the hot seat year for Mario. Not that they can fire him, but in year 5 or 6, after years, if year 4 is disappointment, the administration is going to say, oh, radar's up. This is not working. We're 4 years in. We're not winning anything significant. We're halfway through this contract. Ladies and gentlemen, year 5 and 6, these are really important, because after that, we got to start thinking about a buyout and get out of this deal with Mario Cristobal, because we're not making progress. Thoughts?
Well, I would say, first of all, there's an important fact that I got to correct you on. It's a 10-year contract, not an 8-year contract, which is why I wrote, I think, the 6th year to me, when he's got 4 years left. So you just got to move the calendar up a little bit. But you're right. I think what ends up happening is this season, more so than anything else, you have to prove that everything you've been doing from a roster build perspective, like recruiting, high school recruiting, all the guys you've brought in, player development, Like, this is your time to shine in that area. And if you don't do it, the people who are paying you blindly to sign players, right, and just handing you the money and giving you the resources, they're going to turn around and say, well, you know what? You want to fire your defensive coordinator? We're not paying for his buyout. Good luck with that. The support just will not probably be the same from everybody involved. The school, the administration, I know for a fact part of the reason they signed him to a 10-year deal was, hey, we've kept ripping the Band-Aid off. We fired guys after 3-4 years. We've got to stop that. So he's going to have at least 3 more years in my mind where he's going to have the support from the school that he needs. But I'm talking about the people who fund the NIL collective, the people who pay for the buyouts of coaches, all those big boosters who help contribute to Miami's fund. I could definitely see them starting to turn their back on Mario if things don't turn around here in year 4. They have to take a step forward here, even if they don't have a better roster than the one they had this year. They've got to win games they're supposed to win.
I'm thinking about this now. You know that the Canes and the Dolphins have the same thing, that every head coach they've hired, they fired, and none of them go on to have success anywhere else.
Right.
Which means at least you have fired the right person because you hired the wrong person.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, at least it's kind of that part has worked out for both the Dolphins and the Canes. You know what I mean? They've all had assistant coaches underneath that have gone on to have success in other places. You know what I mean? Just like the Dolphins have had an interim coach that has gone on to have success, but none of them that they've hired has actually gone on to succeed. That's the crazy part about all of this. And when I'm looking at, we were talking about this, I think yesterday, the day before, at SMU. Well, the guy that was here, Rhett Lashley, he's done a better job as a head coach at SMU than Mario has done at the University of Miami, and he probably has a little bit better resources too than Rhett Lashley does too.
Yeah, and SMU doesn't have a program that has a history of 5 national championships. They've been a small school program. They just joined the Power 4 ranks this year. They're not even making any money off of that, so it's all funded by the oil guys out in Texas who love their program and want to bankroll all the change there. But you're right. I mean, look, the results are there for Rhett Lashley. They're not there for Mario Cristobal yet, and that's what he's got to prove this year. He's got to prove that all of that investment and time that he made into building those excellent recruiting classes pays off with a season that maybe we don't expect to see because of his history here. Maybe this is the year that all of a sudden all those defensive linemen and offensive linemen that he's been putting together here go out and dominate and play like an SEC, an old school SEC team, right? And perform at a super high level. And this program wins with guys you don't expect to step up to the plate and deliver. So that's what Mario's got to prove here in 2025.
I got to say I was wrong, bro. I'm quick to tell anybody, hey, I told you so. Well, I wanted Mario here. I think I was wrong, bro. I think I was wrong. Seriously, I think I was wrong. Really. I don't think he's the guy for coaching. I love him for everything else, but on game day, I am just not convinced. I'm just not, bro.
Listen, there's a lot of people who feel the way you do, and I would say not just about Miami, but about the schools that they cover and the schools that they report on. That's the way a lot of people are feeling about James Franklin right now, right? They look at his record at Penn
that's
State.
A lot of years there, bro. I mean,
yeah.
It's like it's enough proof there.
But I think one thing, and again, I'm not going to be a Mario apologist for this because he underperformed. They should have won more this year. But here's what I will say. While you have an example of Rhett Lashley at SMU getting the ACC championship game in his 3rd year and Mario not, while you have examples of other guys that have had success faster, I think part of the struggle here at the University of Miami is the culture, right? Like we talked about it with Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman and the culture he's built with those kids. College football, especially in this area of the country with high school recruits, these dudes are changing schools constantly at the high school level. To get these kids locally to buy into your program, it takes a lot, and in some places, like it just takes more time than others to get it right. You look at Lincoln Riley out at USC. Los Angeles, a similar area to South Florida, right? A big time city, movie stars, money, lifestyle, beaches, all that kind of stuff, women. He's doing a worse job than Mario is, and he's getting a lot more money than Mario is.
Yeah.
So my point is, I just think like it's growth and improvement is not going to happen the same place everywhere. In some places, you might just be in the perfect situation to have success faster than others. And so the one thing I will say about Mario is he loves Miami like few people do. This is his home.
Sure.
Lincoln Riley, his connection to USC, I don't think he's going to be there very long. I think he'll be gone soon. You need a coach ultimately who wants to buy into the place that he is at. You look at all these athletes today. Tyreek Hill, right? He's making all this money with the Dolphins. I heard you and David talking about it. Oh, the guy doesn't give three shits about the city of Miami. He has no reason to care, to want to be a leader and all that kind of stuff. Mario loves Miami. There's something to that, and I think Miami fans just have to be a little more patient and wait for him to get through all these bumps and bruises so that he can build the culture he needs to win ultimately. And I think the bottom line is I'm not sure who else out there could come in here and turn this place into the national champion that you want to be. I don't know that guy exists.
Yeah. Well, somebody's got to. I mean, you have the resources,
right?
So before it was harder when you didn't have the resources to ask somebody to do and create miracles. Now you have the resources. You got to find a way to get it done, dude. Because it's a shame. You know, it's kind of like when I look at the Dolphins now. To me, I've watched McDaniel for 3 years underachieve, and now all these contracts, you have now ruined the window.
Yep.
You have 1 year left of this window, and it closes, and all these contracts come crashing down on you, and so you ruin your window, you ruin your opportunity. I'd hate for the administration to go all in like they have and go all in 6-7 years in with this guy, and they don't get it done, and then they get a sour taste in their mouth. And they take 5 steps back and say, well, we'll keep the football program, but we're not going to invest in it like we used to because it doesn't pay off. And that is the part that you fear because I'm not sure it's so fanatical like it will be at Alabama and Texas and Ohio State and all that it'll always be fanatical through and through. There could be some, peaks and valleys here in Miami. You know what I'm saying? So I worry about that.
Yeah, I agree, and those are all valid concerns. I don't disagree with your overall notion. I just think, look, there's other people you could have attached yourself to through this process that may or may not have gotten you to the ACC championship game this year by being a better game day coach. But I'll tell you this: I don't know how many guys really love Miami as much as Mario does, and
there's nobody.
And can bring as many people with him to help the cause like he does. If it's another head coach, I don't know that the NIL bankroll is the same. So it's almost like what horse do you bet on? I get it. Mario will frustrate the hell out of you on game day, but I think where's the better horse? If there's a better example, go and get him. But I don't know that guy exists though. I think that's the issue.
There's any concern with you that a couple of his coaches that have been with him long term have left?
No.
Okay.
No, because in the end, that's the way this profession works now. Everybody's a mercenary. Everybody's looking for a better situation. And I think Mario is a slave driver. I think he is as a coach. I think he works the shit out of his guys, and he frustrates the shit out of his guys.
Okay.
But that's the way it is. I mean, people move on.
All right. Caneswear, baby. Go to caneswear.com. Use our code BIG010. You will get 10% off. And if you order over $99, you will get free shipping, Heat gear, Dolphins gear, Marlins gear, Panthers gear, InterMiami gear, and, of course, practically anything and everything with the Canes logo on.
This is the